Welcome welcome all to episode 199 of the Xbox Expansion Pass, recorded on Saturday, October 14th, 2023. I am your host, Luke Lohr, the InsipidGhost, joined by my co-host, the intrepid Captain Logun. And in this episode, we examine the monumental news of Activision-Blizzard finally being acquired by Microsoft and thus joining the Xbox family. There is bad news for fans of physical media, as Best Buy is halting its physical business in 2024, and more companies are set to do the same as well. As always, we hope you enjoy the show. Logan, we like to start the show by offering words of kindness to those who have made our gaming weeks better. But first, how are you, my friend?
Oh, buddy, let me tell you, this is a week to be celebrating. I am very happy this week. It is an awesome week to be talking about video games. I don't know, man. It's been an interesting week for me. It's been very busy at work, but Amazon Prime deals have been going on, and I've been scooping up parts for the new PC at like 25 to 30% off of like what their sale price normally is. So I'm jazzed, dude. I'm like 4 parts away from like Frankensteining this new PC together, and I'm genuinely excited about that because I just want a faster computer.
Having gone through the need of a faster computer this year, and obviously the patrons and Ainsley Bowden helped me out, and then you being good enough to edit and render the show for me last weekend, and at least 2 other times in the course of 2023. I know you need a new and faster computer, because y'all, he's like, all right, I'm rendering. It'll be 6 hours. And I'm like, what? Well, we're coming up 2 days late on this one because there's a lot of render, then download, then upload. It's a lot of sending of files. Can't imagine how game makers did it during the pandemic. You made that comment to me when we were chatting about it. But I'm excited for you once this thing is put together, because you deserve it, given how much Keelhauled has been working through. You're approaching 300 or at 300. What's your number on Keelhauled? I admit I'm out of the loop right now for a lot of stuff.
I mean, I can't remember. I think this week is either 296.
Okay.
Or 290. I think I already did 295.
So, but you're close. That's the bigger kicker.
Yeah. Like I've got like a month out before I'm good.
Well, that's pretty darn amazing. Like, I mean, we're approaching, we're 1 episode from 200, right? And quick aside on that aspect, thank you all for being here. Thank you everybody for listening. I suppose I could give my words of kindness to you guys in many ways, just for watching and listening to the show, given that we're on the eve of episode 200. I did reach out to Xbox and ask for a big wig, and I got the most polite and kind response from them, congratulating me, being very sweet and saying, you know, it's amazing, good accomplishments. I believe it was Jeff Rubenstein that was being so polite to me and kind. But the bigwigs are all tied up for all the reasons that we're going to talk about in this episode. But it was such a sweet thing, because it's tough to get acknowledgement. You know, it's hard. I'm sure it means something when Rare talks to you, Logan. It means something when Xbox talks to me. We got codes for Forza, for Redfall, for Starfield this year, for Minecraft Legends this year, for Hi-Fi Rush this year. It means the world when they kind of like shine the light. And sometimes it's really frustrating if you can't break through in something, but to get even an email saying, hey, we politely declined, but congratulations, it meant the world. So shout out to Jeff Rubenstein for that one. It was very kind of him and whatnot. So I have words of kindness for others, but genuinely, if you're listening to the show and helping me get to 200, whether it's listens, likes, subscribes, Patreon, whatever it is, you're awesome, guys. Thank you. And as far as helping Logan get that new PC, Keelhauled has a Patreon as well, right? That's going to help you Frankenstein that bad boy. Definitely look into that, guys, because I know the struggle. I had the struggle for the first 100 and some odd episodes of XEP. So cheers to Logan in that endeavor.
They've been doing great. I've been really happy about it. I'm super stoked. I've got like the CPU, the RAM, and the case are like the musts. right now. Like if I can get the CPU and the RAM in the case, like I could probably rip out a couple other parts from my current system and put this bad boy together. But it's like it's a waiting game. I'm like every day I'm checking price, PC part picker thing, man. It's crazy. But I do want to shout out for my words of kindness, Jeff Perez, who's a longtime Rare fan and a big old Sea of Thieves pirate. The latest video that came out for Sea of Thieves for season 10, kind of diving into some more stuff, did a big wide angle shot of their campus, right? And I know their campus. I've seen their campus.
Rare's campus.
Yeah, in the UK. So I've seen their I've seen like the videos that they post of like the stuff that they have going on. They've got like one main building and then like 4 barns. And then this latest video, I noticed there was a giant new building at the studio that I'd never seen before. And I put some speculation out there. I was like, this is kind of interesting. I wonder if Rare is looking to like expand their in-house development team. Are they adding new devs to work on Everwild? Are they looking to bring in like support studios that they currently have to the campus for Sea of Thieves? Are they moving UK based studios to like one central location since they have so much property there? Like there's so many questions that I have regarding like what they're doing with this. And shout out to Jeff because he actually noticed this back in February when he saw that there was a difference between the Google Map images, the satellite images, from 2021 to 2023. So it's really strange that this thing has been here for a while, and he's so far the only person that I know that's talked about it or mentioned it, and we're still very curious, like what they're doing.
The implication is that he noticed it, so credit to him. But like. Rare is expanding its building pretty extensively to the point where even Google Maps is picking up on it.
Yeah, it's huge. It's the size of like 2/3 of one of their structure or of like their studio. Like they have these big long barns that are just long structures that are 2 stories high. This is also a 2 to 3 story high building that is like 2 of those smashed together. And it's pretty big. Like, I don't know how many devs they could fit into that space, but it would be like an entire new team.
So this could have pretty big implications for Xbox as a whole then. If you know, it sticks into that. That's pretty cool. Tell me again, who is this person we should be crediting?
Jeff Perez, one of the longtime Rare fans over there. Really nice guy. Used to work at Disneyland and used to operate the train and stuff. Really cool guy.
That's cool. So I wonder if like he's, you know, not getting the credit he deserves for sharing information that could have bigger implications to Xbox overall, because Rare's a big deal. They're located in the UK. This is a pretty big deal, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of studios that help out with Sea of Thieves development, but there's also like Minecraft. Like Minecraft is based in the UK. Like Mojang could be moving over to Rare Studios for all we know. There's lots of little studios that, for all we know, you know, rent is getting high or they're looking to expand and don't have the studio space for it. This could be, you know, Xbox trying to consolidate their team's locations into one area so that it's easier for them to collaborate. It's easier for them to have visits from Phil Spencer and Matt Booty in them. You know, like if there's ever a time where like Matt needs to go out to talk to the different studios, having all of the studios in one central location would be, you know, a real boon for them. Plus you could have a lot of conversation between devs and like how to fix issues that are coming up between other games and things. Like who knows what the possibilities could be, but it's a pretty big structure to be not talking about.
Yeah, that's cool. Like I'm impressed and excited and nervous in a lot of different ways, but that's really neat to think that like Jeff noticed this and whatever it could potentially mean for Xbox, for not just Sea of Thieves, but for Rare overall, for Minecraft. That's really cool. So you heard it from Jeff first, and then you heard it from Logan second, who's pointing out Jeff. That's kind of neat. That's in a week where we have such big news. That's kind of a neat little nugget to have nestled in there.
Yeah. Especially given the fact that, you know, like ABK deals is, you know, we're going to be talking about that. There's a lot of studios across the world, and it'd be interesting to see if this is kind of like Microsoft's new campus in the UK. Like they have their campus and stuff, and their studios are kind of everywhere. But there's a lot of people that are camped out at Microsoft.
Interesting. That's cool. We're gonna have to put a call into Jez and be like, hey, look here. Well, those are our words of kindness for this week. I also want to say a quick word of thank you. I've been driving a lot the past few weeks for not good reasons, but I've been helping people, like driving my wife, doing some solemn stuff with her, and then took a friend to the airport last night as her father was passing. And it's been a lot of driving for me, hours and hours and hours in the car, plus work, plus soccer, etc. So it's been rough, but I've gotten a lot of podcast time in on those return trips where I'm solo. And I've listened to so many great podcasts. Save Game Media has gotten me through. Kevin Ainsworth and Jam-Pack Sam, love Project X Talk. Really enjoy that show. Xbox 2 with our buddy Randall Thor and Jez Corden as well. Like, it was just good times there. The Trophy Room, hosted by Kyle Stevenson, was pretty darn great. I've enjoyed a lot of different podcasts for getting me through. So I hope that we serve a similar purpose to others that get them through tough times.
Always helps.
I have to say to our community, we wax poetic about you guys a lot, but we've raised a lot of money for Extra Life that we've been divvying out to people. We did our Extra Life, I guess you would say, fundraiser through the month of September, and all that money came in September is being divvied up to Extra Life for different content creators in our sister networks. $50 to Save Game Media, $50 to Season Gaming, $25 to Greg Stewart from Player One Podcast and Generation 16, $25 to Skinny Matt as well. And we're looking for 2 more content creators within our kind of friend group-esque that we know of. If you're a listener and you're doing Extra Life, ping us, let us know. We'd love to support you because we've got more money to send to Extra Life there. I think we're due for another
It's a good shout.
$75. Yeah, pretty darn cool there. And Patreon's been so helpful. We paid for Podbean last month as well. We paid for we'll be paying for Zencaster. It's been great. So you guys have gotten us through, and I want to give our tier 2 and 3 shout outs this week as well, Logan. It's my turn to read.
Yeah, it's your turn, man.
Darn, here we go. All right, I'm ready if you're ready. Here we go. Our tier 2 and 3 shout outs for this month: Nicholas Downey, Rob Frawley, Tao Zochi, Trickster, Robbie Bobby Miller, Silent Cypher, Xbox Skittle, Steel Rain, Matto 1606, Randolph Thor 19, Silkenet, Rick Gaffney, African aka Charles Jones, Game Positive, Jam-Pack Sam, Matt Valdez, Neo Prime 33, Rick Davis, Red Beast, Xbox Mike 29, the Lord Sir Master James Suddy, Brendan Myers, aka the Winter Gamer, Sony's VP of Marketing Kevin Butler, Clint Coombs, DJ Hero, and Dano12. Thank you guys for supporting XEP over on patreon.com/Xbox Expansion Pass. Hope you enjoyed Tier 3 patrons, the Starfield spoiler cast with our guest Ellery. They were amazing. Absolutely enjoyed having them in our Starfield spoiler cast. We are adopting in that format for our next Xbox wrap-up as well. We're going to do a spoiler cast for some of the games we've been playing through October. So if you're interested and you're a patron of XEP and you want to join us for that episode, jump into the Discord. Let us know. We could talk Forza, we can talk Assassin's Creed, we can talk Alan. No, we don't have time for Alan Wake. And anything else you've been playing, it'll just be a good time community show. I like that new format. It was a good time. So there we are. Logan, it is done. Sir. It is done. Activision, Blizzard, King, the Microsoft acquisition of them has been completed. It was a 19-month ordeal. Felt like even longer. $69 billion spent plus litigation costs, but the deal is done. A lot of cool things to break down here. I know I've seen some incredible coverage from all across the interwebs. I don't necessarily need to regurgitate every little statement by every little CEO, but this deal is done, and this to me is going to be the biggest industry shift in video games in decades, I would think. It's a matter of seeing what and how it happens, but it's done. It's done.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Dude, the stuff that can come now from this, like the number of IPs, like I was looking at a list that someone had posted on Twitter of like the number of IPs that are now under Microsoft that can become backwards compatible and available on Game Pass. Like, it's pretty good, dude. I'm pretty excited for all this. I think there's some really awesome games that I would love to see come back.
I fully agree, and we did get a question about that. I'm anxious to dive in, but I do want to take a moment and note that, like, one of the easiest ways that I've understood this deal in its finality is Clobriel's images. If you're unfamiliar with Clobriel, he's a social media content creator. On Twitter is where I see his stuff, on X, I should say. But on Twitter, he posted an image of 2017's Xbox Studios, and it was a pretty darn barren list. 343. I forget. I even forget what it was. It was 343.
It was like Rare. It was like 343. I think they had. Oh my gosh! Now I'm blanking on them.
Maybe 2 or 3 others. It was very Mojang, probably very small. And then he posted an image of what Xbox looks like now that this deal is done. You've got Xbox Game Studios, which 343 Compulsion, so many other studios in there. I want to in Exile, World's Edge. It's just staggering to think about when you look at the number they have, plus Bethesda Studios, plus now what they've acquired in Activision. And it's all things considered stunning to me that this is now the state of Xbox in a time where Sony is so confident they are now upping the prices of things, where they're moving things around. When I look at the list of Xbox Game Studios, from Rare to Obsidian to Coalition to Turn 10, 343, In Exile, Compulsion, Ninja Theory, and then you look at Bethesda with Bethesda Game Studios, id, Arcane, Roundhouse, ZeniMax, Machine Games. Then you look over at Activision with Treyarch, Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer. You got to think they have the Shanghai studio in there. They've got a number of different support studios in there. And then you look over at Blizzard and what Blizzard, Albany, Austin, and Boston bring, plus Irvine and all the other different support studios around the interwebs. And then you've got King, which has such a great hold on the mobile space. The potential for Microsoft to do well here is, I think, higher than the potential of any other video game maker in the history of video games. And I'm talking about potential, not accomplishment, just to be very clear. But they now have an opportunity to really shift the games media, game space in a way that they really haven't. And when I look at the depths of Xbox, the dark times in 2013, 2015.
Yeah.
And you look at what I want to use Phil Spencer as the barometer, but I know it's not just him. I don't mean to evangelize him, but the Spencer era Xbox has addressed so many issues that with the completion of this deal, it truly feels like the vision has been executed, the mission has been saved, and now it's a matter of, okay, next mission, get it done. We've got a lot to break down with, like, the potential of what they could do with those IP you were talking about. But I mean, with this accomplishment, not only did they bring in Activision and the IP that are under them, they also strengthened their bond with Ubisoft, which is what a cool side deal, side handshake to get. There's a lot that could come of this deal in years to come, and I don't think we'll see huge dividends in the next few months, but still stuff to be done. I've talked for a bit. What you got?
Dude, this is the most exciting thing I've ever gotten to see. I know so many of my friends that have either been at Rare and moved on to like work over at like Activision Studios, or like Blizzard friends who were working with Activision games and then moved to other studios and now are back as Xbox employees. Like Phil Spencer pulling this in, hands down, one of the best like things you could probably put on a resume. Like, I helped bring in a $69 billion acquisition together as the head of Xbox. the sheer amount of possibilities now for these studios is fantastic. Seeing just how many different people are going to be like available for Xbox to help execute on publishing, development, marketing, social media presence, things like that. Like, do they put out a video that's like it's a good day to play games? And I'll be honest, man. I hate when people are like, "Oh, I'm choked up. I started crying on the video. I started, like overreacting to videos." Not to say that sharing your emotions is a bad thing, especially as a guy. I think it's a fantastic thing to do. Normalize it. But I hate when folks are like, "Oh, I just got chills." And then I got chills on top of my chills and top of my chills. And then I cried about my chills. Like, I hate that. But dude, that video pulled some punches with or didn't pull punches, but it pulled some footage that really hit me hard with some of the World of Warcraft cinematics and stuff. Like, oh man, just seeing Thrall talk about like home and family and stuff. And I'm like, all my Activision stuff, all my Blizzard stuff is now going to be under the Xbox ecosystem where it's like respected and treated with dignity. And I'm like, oh, please, thank you. I'm so looking forward to this. There's so many different things that I think can come as a result of this, with like Bobby getting out of there, get Kotick out of there. He's a horrible human being and a piece of, and I'm looking forward to him being gone. I'm looking forward to studios who want to unionize, to be able to unionize and have that support from Microsoft. There's just and then that doesn't even get into like the IP, dude. Like the IP, there's so much stagnant IP that just has not been cared for that I think could come back, that folks would love to see, like Toys for Bob or Vicarious Visions, like come in to like really start playing around with again and stuff, and not just be support studios because that's what the publisher wants. Like, it's the hope and the desire for change to happen for a lot of people that were in a place where they didn't get to have creative control. And I think that's what Phil and Matt Booty really love to do. Is I think Matt Booty really loves to take teams that have a vision, to openly respect their desire to create, because that's what games are for. They're there to entertain us, and people are doing their best work when they're working on something they're passionate about, and to allow them to do that. That's what has me excited. Not to have like the dictatorship that is Call of Duty, forcing the hand of studios to be support for content that's just going to come because you need X skin in Call of Duty as a microtransaction because we need to make sure that we're getting our our monthly active users up or something like that. Like, I just, that it feels cold and corporate, and this feels the antithesis to that, ironically being a huge corporate deal.
I agree, and I'm curious to know kind of what their next steps are going to be. We have some questions about that. I know that there are a lot of things that need to happen. Xbox is going to have to address some of the issues that come up with redundancy in some of their different, I guess you would say, departments, marketing, HR, that kind of stuff. They are truly going to have their work cut out for them in cleaning up a toxic culture that has existed. You talked about the unionization, and the reason for much of that has to do with crunch, with the way that some of their female employees have been treated, the way some of their staff is just genuinely treated by bosses. Xbox has a reputation largely earned for doing well at treating its employees with respect. And you could compare some of the stories we've heard to like some of the stuff like not Insomniac. Who makes Last of Us? I'm just
Naughty Dog.
Naughty Dog has a reputation of crunch culture. Sony has their work cut out for them to fix that reputation. Despite the incredible games, they've got to fix that. Xbox seems to have been addressing that now, and you could argue at the detriment to some of their releases. I think you could make that fair argument. Crunch has worked well for some studios, not for others. There is something to be said for that, but it's bad. So Xbox has to find a way to fix some of that toxic culture, fix some of that release cadence that now needs to happen, because what they're going to have to do Had the deal not gone through, they had a plan for release cadence for their studios between Xbox Game Studios and Bethesda. Now they've got to bring in what's going to be exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem over the next few years, what is not going to be exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem over the coming years. Like, we know Diablo 3 and Modern Warfare 3 will not be Diablo 4, pardon me, and Modern Warfare 3 will not be coming to Game Pass in 2023. We know that, but there are decisions that are going to need to be made with different Activision-Blizzard titles over the next 3 to 5 years to not interrupt or overlay with other Microsoft Game Studios, Bethesda Game Studios titles. They've also got to ensure that they don't bump into a situation similar to Redfall, where there's a plan, there's something there, but it may not be ready, may not be out of the oven, but they're going to release it because they want to. And now I think the lesson has been learned that you can do, if you do that, it's going to reflect not on Activision, not on Bethesda, but on Xbox overall. And that has implications. And so there's a lot that they need to address. But I think my favorite part of all of this, Logan, is the handshake deal with Ubisoft Plus for streaming rights in the UK and I believe a little bit outside the UK, you were telling me?
It's because of the UK, but they will have streaming rights worldwide.
Gotcha. Okay. So I did not recognize that. I'm glad you told me. But I love that because it means that now Xbox's relationship is strengthened with another major publisher. And unless my mind is playing tricks on me, Logan, the only remaining major publisher that is not intrinsically linked to or tied with Xbox would be EA.
No, we got EA Play on Game Pass, so we get the trials through Game Pass Ultimate. We also we you can buy EA Plus or Play through Xbox as well too. So we do have that partnership with there, which is I think why Ubisoft was chosen to do the streaming rights, because there's already a partnership with EA through Game Pass Ultimate, which might have been a bit of a questionable thing. If anything, this does a good job of bringing those two major publishers together in their unification for supporting Xbox, where we may like that is going to be a discussion that has to be had by whoever takes over for Jim Ryan with Ubisoft and EA, because they do have partnership deals already. I think Ubisoft is one of the few publishers that will pretty much support every studio or every console manufacturer. Like they really love the Switch. They love supporting what the Switch does. But they're also there for like cloud streaming services as well. They were there for Stadia. They were there for Luna. They do not shy away when it comes from their content being published wherever they can. So them having the rights is kind of it's a good thing for them, because it builds a little more security, a little more inflow for cash for Ubisoft, especially given they've been through some tumultuous times, which I think has always kind of strengthened the studio and kind of made them make better games. But when we hear things like X-Defiant getting delayed, that's a good thing. But at the same time, that's money that's not coming in. And I think that the streaming rights will help kind of shore up some of the missed funds from either games that didn't hit or delays in releasing games.
Something that I thought was neat, I feel like I knew this, but I was forgetting, is that for Ubisoft Plus, it not only includes all Activision-Blizzard titles for the next 15 years to come, but the entire back catalog, to include in-game content and DLCs like expansions and add-ons. I feel like I knew that, but I think it's worth mentioning again. There's no loophole that I can catch so far, right? Like, it's not like, okay, you can play Black Ops 2 on cloud in the UK, but you gotta buy the DLC pack. It doesn't sound like that's a loophole. Now, they might choose to do something here and there, but they've got the rights to it.
I know that they have the rights to do it. It'll be interesting to see how they approach the Activision Blizzard content, because you're not wrong. Like, they have the rights. Like, you could cloud stream World of Warcraft, but as far as Ubisoft games go, like if you want to play The Division and you want to play the Warlords of New York DLC and you have Ubisoft Plus, like, you're good. You don't have to worry about paying for the expansion. It's not like Game Pass, where if you if you want to buy a game, or if you want to play Outer Worlds, but you want to play the expansions, you have to buy the expansions separate, even though Outer Worlds is technically like first party studio on Game Pass, like the base game is, but the expansions aren't included. Ubisoft goes the step further and says like, we're going to include all of the expansions and DLC for the games that we publish as well. So if they decide to do that with the Activision Blizzard stuff, that may be the best way to have World of Warcraft content, because we don't know like what's going to happen with the subscription service that they have there. They've notoriously moved to a heavy microtransaction system on top of their monthly service, on top of buying their base game, on top of buying their expansions. So it'll be very interesting to see if Ubisoft Plus is a cheaper way to play World of Warcraft in the long term. But overall, I would say that this is going to be a real boon. One of the other things that came as a concession to the acquisition is that folks in Europe, the European Commission, said that Activision's cloud rights have to extend to owners of the game. So say you own Modern Warfare 2 and a company goes to Ubisoft and says, hey, one of our companies wants to allow our subscribers to play Modern Warfare 2. They don't want to buy the game. They already own it. European consumers will have the right to stream that game over cloud if they already own the game, which is kind of a crazy. That's a thing that I was like, dude, I would love to have that. If I own, let's say Starfield, and I want to stream that through Ubisoft Plus, or no, not Starfield. Starfield's a bad example. Trying to think of like another. Like if I own Overwatch is free to play now too. Diablo 4, we'll go with Diablo 4. If I own Diablo 4 and I want to stream that in Europe, and I've already bought the game, and I go through a streaming cloud service, the Ubisoft has to allow you to be able to play that over the cloud for free. You don't have to buy a cloud version of it. So that's kind of crazy.
That is cool. Crazy, wild. I think it's a good thing. I'm really pleased with the fact that we're done. I think it was Clint Coombs that wrote in on Discord, like, how excited are you that this is done? You don't have to talk about it anymore. And I don't think we're done talking about it, but we're definitely done talking about the will it, won't it. And I'm really glad for that. What I'm actually excited about for talking about this deal in the months and weeks and however long, to come is kind of our questions from Wolverine and Jampack Sam, who both wrote in over on Threads. Wolverine said, what games do you want to see on Game Pass first with backwards compatibility updates, etc.? And it was Jampack Sam who said, how fast do you think we'll see changes now that the acquisition is wrapped? There have been mentions for Modern Warfare and Diablo to come in 2024, possibly to Game Pass at the very earliest. But when we see the first changes, and that's actually what I'm excited to talk about over the coming weeks, because my anticipation, Logan, is that we're going to get a lot of drip fed content into the back compat catalog in order to occupy news cycles. Like they're going to look at, okay, we have dropped Forza, we have dropped Starfield. We got an update for Halo Season 5, which is pretty damn good, all things considered. Sorry, Red Beast. I didn't mean to swear with the kids in the car. We've got Sea of Thieves, that content that has just dropped. Grounded is due for an update. Redfall just had a good update. Modern Warfare is on the way. Season 2 for Diablo is coming. This is all stuff that Xbox itself now has to deal with. And in every single one of those articles that's written, the mention of this deal, the fact that it's now Xbox, will be factored in. So they have to strategically time these new kind of content updates for backward compatibility stuff or any new titles or any new licenses that are to come. They're going to have to time that next to PlayStation and Nintendo news to continuously occupy mindshare. So that is what I'm actually excited to see. And I've got games, like a list of games that I'm excited to see happen. But does my logic make sense as far as like the news cadence?
Yeah, I do see that they, obviously like the two companies were operating outside of, or weren't collaborating before the deal was done, and they had to make it work as well. Like there was like fireside chats for Diablo 4 going during the time that people were talking about Forza Horizon or Forza Motorsport. So, there's always going to be some overlap. There's always going to be something that is important to someone and not important to others. So I don't see there being too much of an issue with a little bit of overlap when it comes to news cycles and stuff like that. They definitely have the content to be able to dominate or have something interesting come out every single week. They really, really want to. But yeah, I'm very excited to see what is something that comes as a backwards compatibility, because owning the rights is one thing, but having the license to the games that are built is another. So I know things like Geometry Wars, Hexen, King's Quest, the Lost Vikings, stuff like that is probably stuff that we'll probably start to see. Like Crash Bandicoot, we'll probably see Diablo 2, Diablo 3, those kind of things we'll probably see coming to backwards compatibility soon. For me, it's really the licensed stuff. So like DJ Hero or Guitar Hero. I think you'd come up with some really good ones, like the Spider-Man games you were playing earlier this year, as well as like the Transformers stuff. Stuff that is licensed content is the stuff that I'm really curious about, because there's, it's hard to get those games. You kind of have to go to a used game store to be able to get those physical copies of them. And I want to know if like those are going to be coming, but also just like old legacy games like Tenchu was one of my favorite ninja games back in the day, and that's like, dude, that would be something fantastic to see if those games that I remember from like PlayStation days would be something that could be brought back, like somehow, like if there's any way to kind of get those available somehow, that would be cool.
That is cool. That is cool. You mentioned a few of the things that I'm excited to see. Spider-Man titles in back compat. I'm desperate to see and play those again. The Transformers titles, and then kind of it's a seed in my mind's eye, but like Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Now I happen to have the digital versions of those for Xbox One. I can always download them again. I keep them on my hard drive. Not necessarily to play them, but they just have great memories for me because the remasters were pretty lackluster. But the possibility that now that Activision's catalog, their power, is combined with Bethesda's, combined with Microsoft's, and Xbox will command quite a bit of attention and mind share going forward. Console sales, are less the issue. They now have a lot more sway in negotiations and in discussions. So is there a possibility that the Ultimate Alliance series is rebirthed? Is there a possibility that Spider-Man can be used in not Spider-Man proper games? I think all things considered, as much as I don't like the exclusivity element of certain characters, Insomniac has earned its universe. It's two incredible Spider-Man games, and thanks to a leaked Game Explain review, I hate that for them because I know they didn't mean to do that. We know that Spider-Man 2 is going to be incredible. And I'm so excited to play that eventually. I'm getting the statue, but like Alan Wake's my jam. I'm so excited for that. So like not Spider-Man himself, but Spider-Man, the character, could be used in other places. Maybe a Marvel fighter that's long been rumored. Like the idea that we could see franchises with Spider-Man make their way back to Xbox is wonderful. I thought it was very silly that he wasn't in Avengers. Very silly that that couldn't happen. We know that Nintendo published and funded Ultimate Alliance 3, but to see the possibility of that franchise coming back would be really exciting. In short, this opens up the backward compatibility list alone, opens up interest for a lot of other things. And I'm really excited to kind of see that as a possibility. And I think we'll start seeing it soon. To Sam's question, shout out to Sam, by the way, and Wolverine for writing in on Threads, because that's where I'm kind of migrating. I appreciate you guys. But I really hope this leads to a rebirth of interest for a lot of titles, not just Spider-Man. That's a good example, but there's more.
the timing is going to be interesting, right? Because we got, was it this year that they said that they had to wind down the compatibility team because they had basically done everything that wasn't licensed that they could. So it'll be interesting to see, like, what has that team been working on? Because that team typically works on OS features. And we've had a big boon in collaboration with Discord, which has been fantastic. They has been. Like, Discord is doing a lot of things right now to try and be the new Twitch. And I think that they have the power to do that, honestly. But seeing their collaboration with Xbox, with a lot of their features and stuff coming to Xbox first for all the consoles, it makes me wonder, like, are they going to move back over to compatibility? Will they be able to use any of the the rights that they now have for games to bring back a large portion of that kind of content that was not accessible before? I'm hoping that we'll start to see some of this trickle in around like November timeframe, because I know shortly after the deal passed in the Bethesda landscape, like we saw a handful of games come to Game Pass pretty quickly. Like a few Dooms and stuff came pretty darn quickly. And I think we've all known that this deal was going to potentially close in July. And I think that they've been planning on that. So when they say like, it's going to take some time for some of this stuff to switch on, it's not just like, hitting a switch and it's automatically done. I think that there's already been prep done because, the trailer, it's a good day to play games. That was done a while ago. Like, we know that trial, that trailer, that advertisement that's now over on YouTube everywhere that I've been playing, that was ready to go for a while. Like, they already had plans for that kind of working out and stuff. Because the day of they released that trailer, that ad was popping up. I was like, bro, they were ready for this. They were like, it was like, go, get everything going, spin it up, get the marketing cycle out there. We're good to go. So I think they're ready.
Combine that with the knowledge that, like, we saw it popping up on different, I guess you would say, digital platforms around the world. Like, you get this game with your Xbox Game Pass subscription, and the fact that servers were activated for old 360 titles in the Activision catalog. Like, this has been in the works for a while. The one thing that I'm pretty confident in saying isn't going to happen, but makes me sad, is like, I want to see cross collab. I want Master Chief armor in Doom, Doom armor in Halo. What could we? You talked about StarCraft stuff like that. Like, I want cross armors. I want to see Master Chief in Warzone. I want to see those things need to happen, especially because if it happens in Warzone, it's not like it's like the same as Fortnite. It's not like it's just on the Xbox platforms. You'll be playing cross-platform on mobile or whatnot, and then you'll see a Master Chief. You'll see a Doom guy. Like, I love when I'm playing Fortnite with my crew, and it's Kratos, it's Master Chief, it's some other character, like the Gears characters are in there, and Aloy's in there. I love that stuff, and I want to see Xbox make use of more cross promotion stuff. I know Chief was just in Rainbow Six Siege. That stuff is important to Mindshare. So
we saw and we see that within Activision. Like, Overwatch just got Diablo 4 characters, Lilith and Imperius, and I know that Call of Duty just got Lilith and Imperius as well too. So, like, Activision's already kind of like playing around with this and trying to get their popular launches spread across the rest of their franchises, because they know that cross pollination is going to breed microtransactions. I really do, and I was talking about this in the XEP Discord. StarCraft is an amazing franchise with a lot of lore built into it. And there was a game called StarCraft Ghost that was being worked on, and it was a third-person action adventure.
I teased you about some of the StarCraft stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But you've never played StarCraft, right?
No, but I always thought it looked cool. It just
so
didn't.
Imagine how cool like Gears of War is and Halo is, but just, a different flavor. It's like a different flavor of those with the StarCraft universe. And it's funny that you've never played StarCraft, because I know you love Halo Wars
It's
so
right up my
much.
alley.
It's right there. It's 100% the thing that you'd love to do. It's just not the IP that you cherish.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is for me. Like, your Halo Wars is my StarCraft, and I'm so excited for the possibility of like having that IP available, because I think the Coalition is a perfect studio for rebooting the StarCraft Ghost game, because there's so many characters within the StarCraft universe that Vicarious Visions could latch onto. Like, Jim Raynor and Tychus is basically Marcus and oh shoot, what is his name? I can't think of his name. Help me out here.
I don't know who you're talking about.
In Gears, Marcus Phoenix and his buddy,
Cole, Marcus, Cole, Dom, Baird.
Thank you.
Dom, okay.
Not Barrett, because Barrett. Well, I love Barrett. Barrett's fantastic.
Baird.
Is it
voiced
Baird?
by Baird with a D? Yeah, voiced by Bender. I love Gears. Gears is one of my favorite franchises of all time. Like, bar none. I can see statues in the background, but like, I had a Gears collection.
Judgment though.
I freaking love Judgment.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
I love all the
actually
Gears
really
games.
did like Judgment. I need to go play through 4 and 5. Anyway, but having those guys work on StarCraft as like a third-person action adventure, because I love RTSs, but I think RTSs is a little too niche nowadays, given the landscape of games. Like, we just aren't seeing that. Frost Giants making their own, so I already know like there's going to be a revival soon. But overall, I think StarCraft is going to be a really cool kind of thing to see. Like, what kind of games are we going to be able to get with that IP, which has been stagnant since 2015, 16, roughly. Like, pro play's been going on since like 2017, 2018, but it's still a big game in Korea. They still absolutely love it. But dude, I think you would love Jim Raynor and Tychus. I think you would absolutely love them.
Nice. Well, like, I'm in for it, and I hope that is one of the many IP that Xbox sees fit to not only rekindle, but perhaps change and modify for future, because sometimes new visions of things can be done. Like, what a Coalition could do with StarCraft Ghost, or StarCraft in general, wonderful. What could a Sledgehammer do with a Gears, right?
Yeah.
What could any X be done with Y? I'm really interested to see. And now that the acquisition is done, and admittedly this will take time, I don't mean tomorrow, but like, what could they do with a Bethesda IP? Would Bethesda be willing to share an IP? That's something that I'm really excited to see. I fully anticipate the next Spyro is exclusive to Xbox. Amazing. But what if Spyro, has a fun meetup? Yeah. What if Spyro has a meetup with another character that's maybe Xbox specific, or like he bumps into a Minecraft character, or a Sea of Thieves captain? What if Flameheart's chilling, or captain? There's just so many ways for little things.
I am already bugging World of Warcraft fans that work at Rare for like very, very particular swords that are in World of Warcraft to find their way into Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
Like, I am already beating the drum for getting Frostmourne and Ashbringer into Sea of Thieves somehow, because I need that to be a thing.
I need more of that in general, because they're low stakes, low effort, comparatively low effort, mind you, things that could benefit. So
yeah.
I really do hope that's kind of the direction that they go with ABK, with Xbox, because the sky is now the limit. And I put on socials that Xbox is unstoppable. And the irony in that statement is not lost on me. 10 years ago, we were in dire straits.
Yeah.
In the last 10 years, and in the last 5 years, PlayStation has just been incredible with its AAA releases. I think their hardware is really disappointing by comparison to their software outings, but we're watching PlayStation simultaneously release the best of the best, but also like burn bridges.
Bro, the race they're stepping on is nuts. I don't get it.
And as an Xbox fan, I'd like to welcome all of our PlayStation fans and friends to what it's like to be a part of Team Step on Rakes.
Yeah.
Welcome. Welcome. It's a blast. Your nose will not look the same as it did.
Yeah.
But like, it's so funny to watch because I do think PlayStation is approaching a, get a second job territory, right? They're
Oh
coming into
God.
PS3 selves. Jim Ryan, I don't think was good for the company despite its success. I think that was a success built around other things. And so I'm really curious to watch the mindshare because now that Xbox has this in its pantheon, now that they'll command so much attention no matter what they do, they got to get it right, mind you. But
Yeah.
now PlayStation's got to get it right too, lest they lose lots of ground. Xbox was already making up ground in this generation pretty well, and then they stepped on their own rakes in 2022.
Yeah.
But now like we're back, right? We had 5 releases first party, and 4 of them were good to great.
Dude, the conversation that was being had in 2020 and 2019 was always like Microsoft needs the games. They need to get the games. People go to the console for the games.
Mm-hmm.
That was the conversation that we were having.
Mm-hmm.
We have been struggling to have a strong generation this year, or not this year, but this kind of cycle. And it has constantly been one of those things that like Microsoft needs games. PlayStation has games. They've been launching first party content ever since the new generation came out, and that content has been stellar, but it has all been on the backbone of the PS4, and it has all been content that has been locked to both systems. Now that we're seeing PlayStation push out all of that old PS4 content, they are now struggling to be in that cycle where it's like, okay, all of their studios are done. They make great games, but all of their studios are done. After Spider-Man 2, that's pretty much it. Like their games are now slowly drying up, and they usually rely on a lot of these third-party publishers for exclusives, for content, for just, games in general. Call of Duty right now has a PlayStation a sweetheart deal that gave people multiplayer access for the open beta a week prior to the other console. And it was like, or to our console. It's just, that's how PlayStation operates. Now I'm sorry. Oh, go ahead. Jump in.
Well, I wanted to note within that cited examples of Xbox sniping these away. Ghostwire Tokyo, Deathloop, Redfall, and Starfield were all going to be PlayStation exclusives at one point in their development. That doesn't mean it was locked in, but like they were all set to be exclusive. And Starfield is an Xbox exclusive. Redfall is an Xbox exclusive. Deathloop and Ghostwire are not, but Ghostwire's sequel that was leaked in that self leak, so it's real. That's going to be Xbox exclusive going forward. Like there's a lot of very unique things that Xbox has been strategically doing to snipe away and chip away at kind of the sweetheart third-party deals, to include Square Enix. Like now Square Enix is chumming up to Xbox, and PlayStation's nearly 2-1 right now. Their redesign, redundant or silly as it may seem, is the new PlayStation. It is what it is. Not a big deal. Like I think it's kind of odd and silly in some ways because it's a price hike essentially when you break it down, but also like always destined to happen. No, it's a price hike. Let's not have it.
Okay, but I do not want to be hypocritical about this, because we saw a price hike with the Series S.
Yes. Yeah. No. It's not. I'm with you. Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm not arguing that that Xbox is better or PlayStation is worse. I'm just saying it was effectively a price hike, but also it's a non-issue because it's the new PlayStation. Yes. Just as we anticipate Xbox doing the same thing. These are not power-up versions. They are just refreshes that are altering kind of how they distribute and manufacture.
I would like a Series X with 2 terabytes internal, though.
I would too. I would too. But what I'm saying is like PlayStation is kind of entering a new realm, and Xbox has been chipping away at all the little aspects around them.
Yeah.
And so they are going to have to adapt. And I don't think live service is the adaptation that is going to be needed. And I genuinely think they're swapping playbooks, because Xbox has nailed live service, and that's what kept them alive.
Yeah.
Which was Grounded and Sea of Thieves and some of their live service stuff, but they switched playbooks, and so now it's like, ooh,
well, dude,
what's gonna happen?
It's so nuts because they went so hard into, what they were like the first party content, and with Jim Ryan leaving, it makes me wonder if, it's too little too late with the live service. It is wild that in the year of, Phil Spencer Phil being dominating in the market right now with Xbox, that Sony owns Bungie. And, and Xbox owns Spyro and Crash Bandicoot. It's absolutely crazy. But I see now that we have Activision Blizzard King, we are going to be seeing a lot more first party kind of single player story game kind of come out. Like we've got plenty of live service now. I think we're going to start seeing more and more of these single player storytelling games that are coming out, because they see like these are needed to still be able to compete against Sony and what they make. Like Phil sees like the success of Starfield, a single player game, do really well. We've seen games like Redfall not do so well, that are multiplayer games that are potentially live service opportunities there. But games like Hi-Fi Rush, single player game, small, did really freaking well. Minecraft Legends, multiplayer game, not so much.
Not so much.
So I think that there's a lot of potential, and I think you're right about them switching playbooks, because I think Sony's reliance on single party content or single player content being the focus is great when you have enough studios to fill in the gaps throughout the year, or you have third party kind of making up for the rest. But I think that they're diving headfirst into a world of live service that is not going to save them because of the lack of new content that comes from those single player games that their clientele rely so heavily on.
Agreed. And I don't subscribe to true console war elements. Like I don't enjoy the fact that PlayStation is doing a price hike. That's not fun for me. I think it's silly, but I think a lot of what Xbox has done is silly at various times, right? But PlayStation has taken some hits in a couple ways. Next to what is going to be their biggest launch, maybe ever, Spider-Man 2 is going to be insane.
That's going to be huge.
Going to be huge. But I hate that Factions was canceled for people that wanted it. I didn't want it. Like, that wasn't for me. But like, that was never for me, right? And that's okay. But I hate that is happening, because The Last of Us means a lot to a lot of people. I hate that the price hikes happen because that are going to lock some people out. But I do think people are going to get that second job for a little while. It'll take a lot of time for reactions to take place. You need to have a pretty big shot in the foot for it to matter. And I'll cite Redfall as Xbox's example of that. Redfall was a self-inflicted wound that could have been really adjusted. I've been playing, Logan, the update, because this past week I've had very limited time, and my time was chosen for one of three things: playing with my buddies in the limited time I had, because I just missed my friends during kind of some rough few weeks. Joe's struggling, I've been struggling, Kev's been struggling, you've been busy. It's just been tough. Suddy's always struggling. Love you, Suddy. And then if it wasn't Fortnite time with my buddies, it was Redfall update, because I know it and it's not new. Like to dive into Assassin's Creed, which I've put some time into, it's really impressive. But like, that was new. I had to learn it. I didn't want to learn anything this week. And then I've been playing Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, which comes, the embargo lifts on Monday, so I can't say much other than to say it's real good. But that's all I can say. So those were the three places I put my time, and it wasn't equal between them. I have enjoyed the Redfall 2 update. It is more Redfall. It works. It's fluid. It works the way it should have worked. It still needs some love. But like, had this been the launch, we'd have a different narrative. We'd have a different conversation. It really is much better, but the core problems are still there. But man, I've had no performance issues. I actually really enjoy going around and clearing the map. It feels like I'm playing a AA game that works, as opposed to a AAA game that was broken. I don't know if that equates, but I'm really enjoying that aspect during spooky season. I would say if you want a spooky game for atmosphere and vibe, Redfall delivers now in the best of ways. but it's uncomplicated, which if you need an uncomplicated game with not a lot of systems to stress you out, Redfall is a great chance for that. Assassin's Creed, a lot of systems. Starfield, whole lot of systems. Spider-Man 2, likely to have a lot going on. Alan Wake 2, you got to be really tuned into the story. All of those require a focus, whereas Redfall doesn't require a focus. So it's there for that reason. And then Halo Season 5. Jam-Pack Sam is preaching at the top of his lungs that Halo Season 5 is looking good. That's cool to see as well. These are nice wins quietly taking place for Xbox, but I don't think designed to bring in new fans, but it's like rewarding the fans that are there.
Yeah.
I haven't forgotten Best Buy. Don't worry.
Yeah, just to kind of recap on what you said, Redfall is fantastic. I've been playing a lot of Assassin's Creed Mirage and absolutely loving it. I see the flaws that people have talked about. I've on my own, because I know that there's been conversations around certain things about this game, but honestly, I think Assassin's Creed Mirage is a fantastic kind of move in the right direction for Assassin's Creed games. I feel like I actually don't know like how far I am within the story. I feel like maybe I'm about 50% done, but I've got about 17 hours on the clock. And I'm just really liking going through the world. I think the world is really fantastic. I think they've done a great job of building out how it looks, how it feels and stuff like that. The story, I think, is the weakest element, but honestly, I don't care because the whole goal of it is to sneak around and stab people. I mean, that's you talked about it having complex systems. I think Assassin's Creed Mirage has the fewest systems. There's no building homes. There's no raising armies. There's no raiding camps. There's find a chest, get 3 components. You know, you have vendors, you buy all the stuff from them. Once you buy all the stuff from them, they don't have anything else to sell to you. You can have, you just walk around the map, you synchronize areas, you steal stuff, you pickpocket the hell out of everything, and you just stab people in quiet ways. And I think that it's honestly it's RPG light at its best, and I think it's great. Most of my gear's already upgraded. I haven't even halfway through the game roughly, I guess. So I actually think it's been really fun to do that. I'm really cool. It's cool to hear about Hot Wheels, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts on that, because I know I'm going to be interested to see like what I'm going to be talking about in the coming weeks, because there's not a whole lot that's come out that I'm like hungering for, I guess is a good way to say it.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious to hear about Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 as well as Alan Wake. And I'm sure we'll probably have some sort of conversation about Spider-Man 2, because I think that's just going to be one of those kind of like water cooler moments.
No, I agree. I'm stoked to talk about Hot Wheels when the time comes, and I would like to talk about Assassin's Creed briefly, in that I'm really enjoying the opening minutes. I was real tired when I first started, and I was like, I'm not sure, I'm not into it, but I'm very early on. But when I say it has a lot of systems, I mean for somebody that's tired and it needs to be a new game, right? Like I have to learn a new game. That's the difference. But you're right that it feels the most accessible of any. And shout out to their accessibility options in general. Ubisoft is really getting better at that. I have been so pleased with the Crew Motorfest and Assassin's Creed for a lot of reasons, just good games, but their accessibility options as well truly are impressing, and I'm just happy to see that. I know that's an industry trend to improve those, and that's great, but Ubisoft deserves some credit there, and it makes me that much happier that Xbox is strengthening the bond. I'm honored that we were able to give coverage and do coverage, but like when we do our spoiler casts, I'm anxious to talk about Assassin's Creed,
Sure. I do want to dive deep into how you felt about a couple of the things that are going on, because I'll save it. There's other stuff to talk about.
Yeah, no problem. Stoked for that because there's a lot of good stuff there. So yeah.
You know what I'm not stoked for?
I have a feeling it has to do with physical media.
It's son of a gun. You nailed it. How'd you know?
Well, 1, it's in our notes, and 2, this is something that you and I disagree on, because you care a lot about this, whereas I'm kind of like, meh. And so I'm anxious to hear your thoughts on just in general, Best Buy exiting the physical media market, and all intents and purposes suggest that Walmart and a few others are likely to exit as well. Why are you some kind of way about this one?
Okay, so for those that don't know, there's been some news that's come out that I don't know if Best Buy's spoken specifically to it yet. I don't think there's been a press release yet, but there's a heavy rumor that Best Buy is going to be moving out of physical media for movies and TV by the end of 2024. As far as we know, games are still safe. You can still buy physical games and order physical games from there. But the thing that bothers me about this is not that they're getting rid of them. Well, it's because I genuinely like to buy stuff on sale, which is not the way that I think a lot of folks will kind of look at this and think like, oh, it's a shame because of this reason. It's a shame because I love those $10 deals. Like I love seeing like when 4K Blu-rays or go on sale for like $10 or something like that. That's my buy-in. So when I see that they're getting rid of physical media, I recognize that it gives a little more power to digital sales, and digital sales of games and movies are subject to a lot of different things. Like it's is it on sale? Are they going to maintain it? Like I just saw the Friday 13th collection go up on iTunes, but it's not Movies Anywhere compatible. So you could get a really good deal on a really good, awesome, Halloween series to be watching spoopy movies during this time. But I'm a Movies Anywhere guy now. Like I don't buy any digital movies on any ecosystem unless they're Movies Anywhere. So like Amazon Prime having the new Spider-Man movie for Movies Anywhere for $10, like that's a buy-in for me. That's easy. But I usually look for that when it comes to physical media. So if anything, it kind of scares me because I think the more we lose physical retail locations, which this is kind of like if they're getting rid of movies and TVs, those are a big staple of what I think most folks go to Best Buy for. And, seeing like Fry's Electronics, which over on the West Coast is kind of like a micro center. But it's just it's a different flavor of a micro center for computer parts. Seeing those shut down because everyone's just buying parts online now is a real bummer. It's hard to get that stuff like same day. You could just drive down to a store and pick one up if you needed a replacement part. Kind of, if you need a quick gift. There's a lot of folks that don't buy like digital copies of stuff. There's still a lot of folks that buy physical media. It's going to be a real shock to the system, to the average Joe who's not a tech enthusiast, to be able to go buy like their favorite movie for Christmas for someone, because Best Buy is not going to have it there. It's one thing to be, an evangelist for physical media because you want to make sure that you always have access to it. It's another when you're an average person who isn't a tech enthusiast, who just wants to buy a movie, and they can't do that at Best Buy of all places. Like a Best Buy, like Walmart, Target. Yeah, I can understand them having a selection and stuff, but Best Buy was always like the place you go if you want to get the price match deal. Like I price matched computer parts recently and they were super chill about it. I tried to do that with Amazon. It's not their policy. I would have to return it and then buy it at the cheaper price. And I'm like, the amount of logistics that go into that are ridiculous with online retailers. But it's just a bummer. So I've waxed poetic. I also prefer just kind of buy digital media, but that's it. I like to play both sides of the card on this one.
Gotcha. I'm sad for those that care.
Yeah.
I'm sad for those that really live and die by the physical media realm because I know it's important to them. I don't have a care on a personal level because I don't necessarily subscribe to physical media. Like the new Xbox that was leaked that's likely to come later, the PlayStation refresh equivalent, right? I don't think that's a step on a rake moment, but I don't anticipate getting that even though I want it. because I do have some 360 discs that can't be played, or some Xbox One discs, I should say, that are their only disc, right? Like Arkham Origins, TMNT, Mutant, Sim Manhattan, like a few others that I can only play with a disc because the digitals aren't back compat. I get it, but also like I've got too many moments or examples where digital is better. And that's not a hill I'm like trying to knock anybody off of or bring anybody onto. It's just that my lifestyle, my choices, my approaches, digital works for me. But I am sad because I know it matters to a lot of people that want digital.
Yeah. And it's not like we'll get there in the long run. Like there will be, I think the thing for me that I'm concerned about is less about like how, why physical media is better, because I know that there's quality questions that come into play with streaming, but I think that'll get fixed in time.
Yeah.
It's more just like having your rights with digital media that are missing right now. Like these companies could take this away from us tomorrow, and there's nothing we legally could do about it. Yep. And I think that's more my issue. And it's always kind of been like the trumpet that I blow on to kind of like give the warning klaxon, if I could mix my metaphors here, to kind of say like, hey, digital's fine. Let's see if we can maybe put some legislation in place to give us a little more control over our own digital media.
Right. Can't argue. We'll pour one out for Best Buy because Lord knows they've gotten me through. I bought my first Xbox One at Best Buy, my second Xbox One. I think I bought everything but the Scorpio edition came through Best Buy. I think even my Xbox Series X might have been, I can't remember for sure.
Yeah, I got one through them as well too. They also got me all of my little NES and SNES minis too.
Cool. Well, pour one out for them. Cheers to them. Logan, the amount of games coming out in the next week is impossible, I think, for most average humans to play, and then for those of us like to even afford, it might be a challenge. Sonic Superstars, Mario Wonder, and Spider-Man 2 are all incoming. Alan Wake is incoming right after that. Lords of the Fallen just released to very mixed reviews. I've seen as high as Xbox Era giving it a 9.4, to IGN giving it an 8, but then Eurogamer a 2 out of 5, GameSpot a 5 out of 10. This seems to be very polarizing, and it in reading and checking out some of the examples, it sounds like it's very much dependent on the experience that was had. Yeah, like performance wise, which makes good sense. I forget what it was recently when Dan Stapleton was taking so much heat for IGN based on some of their Xbox coverage.
Oh,
they cited an old game that he reviewed that was Xbox only, but it was broken for him and then fixed, and then he updated the review. I can't remember which one it was off the top of my head, but it sounds like Lords of the Fallen is experiencing that, and they've got a patch incoming for Xbox, and they just rolled a patch post review for PlayStation and PC. This to me joins the many games that I'm waiting for sale on. Like I think it was Atlas Fallen. Like that game's not happening for me for a good while because I've got Assassin's Creed. I'm getting Spider-Man. I'm getting Alan Wake. I really want to play more Hot Wheels. I really want to play more Motorfest because I love that game. And I stopped it to play Forza, which, I'm done with Forza. Like I'm so inundated with great games that even the good games that I evangelize because I'm the fun guy, even I don't have time for some of this because I really want to play Sonic Superstars. I don't know when I'm gonna play that. I love Sonic. I don't know when I'm gonna play that. It's wild to me how much is coming out and how much has come out this year. This is the best year in video games, dude.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I'm the Lords of Fallen stuff was kind of a bummer because I watched the trailer for this, and as a Souls-like game, I'm just not. It is not the gameplay style I prefer to play through as. But this game just looks like metal as hell, man. I was looking forward to seeing like how this actually played out because it looks great. I'm glad that the devs are working hard. Hopefully they're getting some time to like take care of themselves. Like it sucks when reviews are bad because of technical issues, not because of the game. So hopefully if the technical issues, honestly, this feels like one of those cyberpunk moments where we weren't really sold on how awesome this game was going to be, but Cyberpunk suffered from technical issues at launch, major technical issues at launch, especially on last gen.
Mm-hmm.
They fixed a lot of that stuff within the first 6 months of the game, mm-hmm. I would say. And I'm thinking Lords of the Fallen will be something similar to that, but hopefully folks give this an opportunity to settle in on like checking it out after it's had its patches. Unfortunately, this is the problem with people wanting to pick up games day one, man. Like, you're going to get the worst version of the game always. Mm-hmm. And review scores are pushing to embargo dates. So you're always going to have like people that are playing the game in the most unfinished state. Mm-hmm. Gone are the days of games being done for a certain amount of time and folks being able to play them. Like, there's outliers, and I think those outliers are like the biggest games of the year, like mm-hmm. God of War Ragnarok, like Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, like Starfield. You're only going to get those games early in a mm-hmm. complete state because they need to be like the best reviewed games.
Mm-hmm. Starfield's so good and so weirdly broken. Like, I love it.
I have so much fun with it, but I cannot help but draw the comparisons to Phantom Liberty. Mm-hmm. And Phantom Liberty's immersion with its storytelling is just so much better that I'm like, God, I really love Starfield, but I really loved like playing Cyberpunk more.
Mm-hmm. Will you remind me to submit coverage for our Phantom Liberty? I need to submit that. Yeah, remind me to do that. It's behind the scenes stuff, but I need to remember to do that because, and I need to send it to Ubisoft as well for Assassin's Creed because they are awesome. And if they are hooking, this is behind the scenes stuff, but for anybody, if we get codes, Logan and I are very good about saying, "Hey, here's what we've done with the code," because we don't just take it.
That's all you. Don't let me in. You're the one that does all that work.
I do the email, but you did the coverage on Phantom Liberty. You did the coverage on Assassin's Creed. So we are a team on that one. Fair. And so that's how I think of it. And we hey, shout out to our patrons. We were able to give them codes to the COD beta. That was really cool. We don't have a ton of COD people in our Patreon stuff, but Ellery, they are playing a game for us for review right now that is like a visual novel-esque game that neither you or I would ever dive into, but Ellery, that's their jam, and I'm all about that being their jam because now we can give coverage to something that wouldn't be typical for us, for our audience. It's cool. They consistently make me happy. All right. If you're watching on YouTube, please remember to click like, by the way. Let's give some questions here. I think we've answered Clint Combs' question about Activision. I think we've answered Dano's question about Best Buy. Thank you both to writing in on Discord and Twitter, respectively. The Muffin Mon asks a question that I think we were asked a few weeks ago as well, because it's my favorite question to answer. Kevin Ainsworth over at X Talk asks what spooky games we're playing right now. I'll tell you that what I've been playing this past week or so. Redfall and Fortnite are two of my mainstays. Fortnite has done some great holiday Halloween spooky stuff, and they've got more on the way. We were able to play the map update rotates, but we played on the spooky map a few times, and that was really cool and really like Halloween-esque witches stuff all everywhere, jack-o'-lanterns. My character is a jack-o'-lantern. Michael Myers and Alan Wake are coming to the Fortnite shop, as well as Jack Skellington. Fortnite is great with vibes around different holidays, and this to me is the best Halloween's ever been. And so that's my game with my buddies. And then Redfall is just great for ambiance. I'm fingers crossed hoping we get an Alan Wake 2 code, but I don't think we are based on knowing that some other people have hands on already. But I'm looking forward to that one for spooky vibes. And then when soccer season's over at the end of October for me, then I've got my slew of games that I'm diving into, spooky or not. So that's what I've been playing for spooky vibes. What about you, Logan?
I guess you could say like Redfall is in, like Fortnite. I don't know, man. I like Sea of Thieves.
You're not a spooky guy.
No, I love spooky. I was watching like Ghost Adventures last night, and then eventually I had to turn it off because they're just so over the top. But I love spooky. I just can't play spooky, so I like to watch spooky. So I don't know. I've been watching some folks play through I can't think of the name of the game, but it's like it's a PC only game where you're a mortician, I think is the word, and you have to like embalm bodies and get them ready for cremation and whatnot. But it's like it's super scary, and I love watching people play it. So I wish I could remember the name. I'm sorry about that, but yeah, Redfall, Fortnite. Fortnite has a new horde mode.
That's fun.
That is not save the world, but definitely a little kind of like, hey, let's get you involved in a horde mode that you didn't think you wanted to play.
I beat the boss in that, by the way.
Oh, did you? I still haven't beat it, man.
Yeah, it was hard. Fun. It's fun. It's a fun thing.
Yeah, funny that they're doing I think it's hilarious that Fortnite, which started out as a zombie end of the world, save the world horde mode game, pivoted to a PUBG battle royale, and is now serving up a Halloween themed save the world.
Yeah, it is funny. All right, let's go to the next question. I like Todd's question here. This is Todd Oxtra. He wrote in over on Twitter, and he's a patron. He said, how do we measure the success of Microsoft acquiring ABK? $69 billion plus 2 years of resources spent in litigation. It can't just be lead to status quo and more of the same from ABK. Is there anything on the horizon that's new that will move the dial? I think there's a lot on the horizon that's going to move the dial, Todd. I think a lot of it we're not going to be privy to because plans are going to change within Activision for where and how things are released. I think we talked a lot about, back compat and some of the stuff that could happen in the short term. But you're right. That cannot lead to status quo. Way too much was put into it. I think this deal bought Microsoft 15 years of relevance to get it right because PlayStation has been just winning. And we talked a lot about that already too. But this gave Xbox future for 15 years. And if they don't have it right then it's done. But, I'll be older then and won't care. And I don't think anybody should live and die by these platforms. But Logan, when you and I are doing the Player One podcast thing 15 years from now, we shouldn't be talking about the same problems for Xbox, right?
I don't think there's any chance of that, honestly. It would have to take a new leader at Xbox, and they would have to be a Jim Ryan level of bad to start dragging down what Phil has been building up. And honestly, I just like the fact that Call of Duty Modern Warfare will probably be day one Game Pass is just, I mean, it's like whenever we see like the MLB The Show day one Game Pass for Xbox fans, like that is a huge thing. Even if you're not a baseball fan, that is a huge thing to have a Sony, based game be put onto the competitor's streaming or subscription service is huge. So I honestly don't think you could have this deal go through and still maintain status quo. The amount of IP that they now own, the amount of studios that they have working for them, it's going to be insane. I don't know when we'll start to see this kind of like really turn into the beast that this has the potential to become from a positive outlook. But dude, if Sony doesn't do something in the next 5 years that really kind of hones in on the important factor, which is games at the end of the day, it'll be a different story that we're talking about as far as like who's in the first place in 2028 when the new consoles launch.
I think dollars. I think within 5 years, Game Pass is on a Nintendo device. Especially given that they're upping their power regimen. Game Pass will be on a Nintendo device. I think they're going to be the first people to bend the knee to the idea that Game Pass should be there, because this is all a play for Game Pass, all of it, every bit of it. And as phones are able to play first-party games now, Assassin's Creed being kind of an early one,
Division,
Resident
Evil,
this is all a play towards getting Game Pass in new places. I think Game Pass is going to be on Nintendo products. I think within 15 years, it's on a PlayStation product. And I don't think that's a bold prediction. I think it's just the reality. And I think 15 years from now, there is no Xbox. I think it's a platform. Go ahead.
I disagree. I think that they, for the same reason that Microsoft still makes laptops, even though they've made Office and Windows kind of staples. I think having the hardware is important to offer to your consumers. It's the Apple approach. You sell the hardware and the software as a pairing. I think you still maintain that with Xbox, because I think that's a market that is still one of the biggest markets compared in media and in entertainment. And I don't think you give that up if you still have something to offer, which I think hardware teams at Xbox are very interested in that, especially given the advances with like RDNA and stuff. And there's still growth to be had with that as well too. We're still not getting the 4K 60 that we were promised with this generation. So I think there's room to grow, and I think there's opportunity for them to be able to market that and make it easier for people to do that. I don't disagree with you about Game Pass being on Nintendo consoles. But it will be in a purely streaming or cloud-based system. I don't think we're going to be getting native games on hardware from Nintendo anytime in the future. So I think that's wild. I think it's wild to think that there's an opportunity for us to be able to have a PlayStation that gives you access to all of the first-party content that Microsoft has. But it would be, I don't know why you would spend $69 billion just to have that content go right back to where it was if you weren't trying to make a play to strengthen your own ecosystem from a hardware perspective as well.
Agreed. Very quickly, because I think we've answered Edward Varnell's question, and Edward Varnell is such a great supporter of XCP. Do you think we'll receive the first drips of first-party titles with the addition of ABK? Still received drips of first-party titles with the addition of ABK. Also, does delaying embargo review make a game suspicious of being well received? No. Well, it makes it suspicious, the review embargo stuff, but I don't think it's a big deal, Edward. I think we've seen too many examples of it not being a big deal, too many examples of it being disastrous. I think it's very case by case, but I'll push back on your receive drips of first party, given how much first party Xbox released in this year. I know why you're asking, because I get it. It's hard to think about some of the games we got this year as first party. Minecraft Legends doesn't feel like it. Ghostwire doesn't feel like it. For some reason, Age of Empires and Flight Sim don't necessarily feel like it per se. So I get the question, but when you take a step back, Xbox friggin' crushed it on first party releases this year as far as the amount, and they've all been good to great save for Redfall. So I get the question, but I no longer subscribe to that mentality. If you'd asked me a year ago, yeah. But yeah, too much is happening in first party releases, plus support updates for their games, from Halo to State of Decay to Sea of Thieves and Minecraft and Grounded. Like, Xbox is on friggin' fire this year, and this deal seals it. I think had the deal gone away, we'd probably feel different, even if we'd been objectively wrong in how much support they've given. But yeah, that's where I'm at this year. So Thank you for the question, Edward. I don't know if you have anything different, Logan.
No, not really. I do think it's kind of shady when review codes don't go out and the review cycle for the embargo is short. It does not feel like they have, and it kind of goes back to stuff that we've talked about too. So just kind of referring back to when you get review codes and the game is in its best state, that is really rare.
Yeah. Well, guys, that's going to do it for XEP 199. Goodness gracious. Thank you all so much for listening, for supporting, for giving us the views we might need on YouTube sometimes, for clicking like, for sharing it to whomever you think would enjoy our content, for being a patron, for being a patron even for a month to help us with Extra Life. I know a couple of you did that, and we're grateful to you. You've kept me afloat in some pretty rough weeks, and means a lot. So I love you guys. Find me on socials at InsipidGhost. And of course, find the show on all your podcast platforms of choice, and consider jumping into our Discord because it's pretty darn great. It means a lot to be there. Logan, where can people find you?
I'm over on Twitter at CAPT_LOGUN. I'm on the Xbox Expansion Pass Discord. If you want to become a patron and chat over there, we have a really good time. Other than that, you can find me over on Keelhauled. I'm going to be talking about safer seas, anti-cheat, the double gun meta, and sword fixes this week as we lead into season 10, which is coming out next week. And then the Festival of the Damned content for the spooky Halloween season, probably the week after, all leading up into a whole bunch of content that's coming. Sea of Thieves drought is over. The seas are plenty, and it's going to be fun over there. So keep an eye out for that.
Alrighty, guys, that's going to be it from us this week. Have a fantastic rest of your week. Take care.